Oi, this is the Profanity Gnome, and I'm here to tell you that if you're under 13 years old, fuck off this video! Get the fuck off YouTube! Get your mama to get your dad's cock out of her ears and actually be a parent! This is for adults only! And for everybody else, enjoy the video. Lads, get below deck! A dark cloud of negativity and toxicity is surrounding the fandom we go to next. Get below deck or you might catch a whiff. Man, this feels surreal. It's been forever since we reviewed something that didn't involve ponies or She-Ra. So are we gonna start from season 1 or are we jumping into a different season? I think we should start from season 4. Why jump so late in the timeline, ho? Well, mostly because the differences between seasons 1 through 3 and season 4 onward, it almost feels like a completely different show. But for those of you who don't keep up with RWBY, here's a quick rundown. RWBY takes place in the world of Remnant, where creatures called Grimm exist and they will eat your face. But the only thing protecting your faces from being eaten are the Huntsmen. This is where our main character is, RWBY. And yeah, she is named after the show. She went off and joined the best huntsman school in the world, led by Ozpin. She joins a team with her older sister, Yang Xiaolong, a white girl named Whis, and Blake Belladonna. They go on kooky wild adventures, beating up the Grimm and discovering a big secret plot that would inevitably destroy the school. During the third season, shit went tits up, and the entire team was separated to the four corners of the world. Yang is forced to stay at home, Whis went back home, Blake is on the run, and RWBY decided to join the side characters who recently lost a member tragically, and went on her own adventures trying to solve the world's problems.
A lot of other things did happen, but I think that pretty much sums up the more important bits.
I would say the highest praise I could give to the show is its fighting style animation. It's some of the fastest, most realistic, and quite frankly ingenious fighting styles I've seen in a show. But unfortunately, the creator of the show, Monty Oum, who also did the animations for the show, sadly passed away. And then Rooster Teeth took over with the RWBY crew, as they call themselves. Yeah, that's why I decided to start from season 4 onwards. 'Cause the feel, tone, and everything about the show just feels differently after Monty Oum unfortunately passed away. Most people consider the first 3 seasons of RWBY to be the golden age. But everything afterward, well, you go ahead and tell them. Well, by my understanding, the RWBY crew took Monty Oum's original vision for RWBY, the original storyline, tossed it out the window, and proceeded to use their own. Now, I don't entirely agree with this, but in the same breath, they do own the property, so they can do whatever they want with it. So I came up with a sort of my own headcanon for it. We're dealing with the RWBY multiverse. The first 3 seasons was the Monty Oum universe, which we will sadly never see the ending of. Everything preceding that is the RWBY crew Rooster Teeth multiverse, which is what a lot of people have the problems with. Not to say that the original series didn't have its problems, but since this was his first real project, I would cut Monty Oum some slack. We're nitpickers, but we're not heartless. And besides, this is Rooster Teeth we're talking about. They're the guys responsible for Red vs. Blue, one of the longest running and favorited animated series of the internet history. I still watch the Chorus trilogy, and I'm still shocked by how emotional it can be. So of course they could probably do the same with RWBY, right? Right? Land ho! Land ho! Behold me, gents! Welcome to the RWBY fandom! So wait, so what do you guys want to do first? Meow. Well, of course you'd want to do that. Oh, I would just want to say hi to an old friend of mine. Wait, there's gents in this fandom? Not exactly. Our creator used to be a fan of RWBY as well, and he created his own OC. Oh, so he's like a cousin of sorts. Wait, aren't RWBY characters based off of fictional characters from across the storybook genre? Stories, myths, and legends, yeah. So what is he based off of? If I remember correctly, Our creator based this guy off of the Headless Horseman. What? And this is the next step. The episode begins in a far-off land that I'm just gonna call Spoopyville, because that's all it really amounts to. As we see the creation of the Grim. Ooh, yeah, you could tell it's a horrifying experience because Emerald and Mercury both look shocked. Yeah, this is what you guys signed up for. Well, we cut to a table where we see the baddies of the bad, where we see this guy with a mustache who's currently texting on his phone. Kinda rude there, buddy. We also see Scorpion Man, who I'm fairly certain his favorite Joker is Jared Leto. And this mountain-looking dude, who I'm fairly certain is asleep.
Jesus, right out of the gate and you're already roasting it?
Well, to be fair, this was a problem in the first 3 seasons. Uninteresting villains that didn't really do much. We don't know their motivations, we don't know their backstories, we just know that they're evil and they want to do evil things because they're evil. But we don't really know who they are, and now they're introducing more villains to us. Speaking of the older villains, here's Emperor. Among these other 3, so I guess they're all equals in the same court. So who's top bitch? Well, it would be this one. Whoa. Well, I'll give her this. She has a better design than Lord Hordak Prime. But just because she looks really creepy, that doesn't automatically equal interesting. But I'll give her credit, I'll be fair, I will be fair, I will give her some time to do something before I truly judge her. So she's called this meeting in order to discuss what they're going to do next, and to praise Cinder for her accomplishment of becoming the new Fall Maiden.
Now just for a quick catch-up, the Maidens have been the primary source of conflict throughout the majority of Season 3. The Maidens are an untapped source of immense magical power. They wanted to capture the Fall Maiden, so now they're gonna be after the Spring Maiden, whoever that might be.
So the White Lady gives them all each their assignments. Mustache Man is to go to someplace. The Jolly Green Sleepy Giant is to go to the Beastmen of this world. And as for what happened with Cinder, well, she wants to know what will be done with Ruby. Well, White Lady sends Scorpion Man to capture her alive. And thus, meeting adjourned, I suppose. We later cut to, this kid. Do we know who this kid is?
I've never seen him before.
Yeah, he's new to me. Well, new writers, new character. So, what makes him interesting?
He does a bit of farm work. And a bit more farm work. And a bit more farm work. So I guess we're supposed to take that he's just an average dude? Meow. That is true, Leslie. He does have the makings of a classic protagonist of the hero's journey.
Well, that would make sense, but the show already has main characters. This is the 4th season, after all. Speaking of which, we cut to a forest terrain where we see Mulan stand in Ren and Thor stand in Nora, who are currently arguing about marketing? Okay. Well, we see Jean Arc, who is a Jonah Arc stand-in, waiting for Riddle Red Riding Hood stand-in herself, Ruby, as she's fighting a D&D rock golem. Okay, I'll bite. That looks pretty damn cool.
So, do you think they need our help? Nah, have you seen the Grimm on this show? They're nothing more than stormtroopers. They're only around to make somebody else look cool.
Sad that the main thread of the show has been reduced to that of a putty. So now begins the new fight scene animation of this series. And I do have to admit, I'm gonna miss the old style. This new style seems to be more focused on jumping around and bouncing around in the air, more than realistic high-speed fighting, which is something that a lot of people enjoyed of the original. But I don't really particularly mind. Even though I'll miss the old style, this style doesn't really bug me as much as it does other people. since I got similar feelings when I watched Dragon Booster when I was a kid, so maybe that's why I got used to this style. That and Get Ed.
Wait, you actually watched Get Ed?
What, there was nothing else on in that time slot.
The animation change can be distracting for some, but for other superior beings, we all know where the real money is, and that's the shipping.
Control yourself or we'll bound you to the boat.
I will never stop my shipping!
I warned you! So, through the power of friendship and teamwork and overpowered abilities at this point, they managed to defeat the Grimm and save the day and win the Super Bowl. But it turns out they weren't just killing this Grimm out of the kindness of their hearts. Looks like they're officially working as huntsmen. So, like any D&D party who just successfully killed a monster, they head right straight to the blacksmith to upgrade material. Looks like it's John's turn to get upgraded, and RWBY never make that face again.
So Jean got the new armor that he managed to pick off of Pyrrha's, items. So now he's got a major upgrade. So yeah, that's great. So they head off to what we assume is their next adventure, in Haven. And the next journey continues. But the episode doesn't end there. Nope, we get a small glimpse at the Ice Queen herself, Wee Snee. And her, probably the best character of this season, the Butler.
If we explain why now, that would be spoilers. So, that was the next step.
I think this episode was misnamed. I don't think it should have been called The Next Step. I think a better name would be, well, that happened. Considering the timing of this episode, I think this was more for what's to come rather than what is to happen now.
Sort of testing the waters with this new art style?
Yeah, like that.
I mean, we got villains in the background scheming and doing evil things. We get a weird farm boy that we have no idea who he is or what he's all about. And we see RWBY for the first time. And she's still kicking ass with all of the other non-RWBY characters.
Yeah, we were going to get to Wee Snee eventually.
And the Butler.
So yeah, not much to say, and we don't know where it's gonna head. So with that being said, we're the Cartoon Gentlemen, the organizers of Chaos, and we're here in the RWBY fandom for a while. Let's make it a good experience.
Speaking of experience, where is this RWBY OC of our creators? I'm not sure how that ties together, but yeah, maybe we could experience his company? Yeah, we'll just say it like that.
Well, the RWBY fandom is pretty big. I think we're gonna have to search for a bit. I mean, how hard can it be to find a guy who's based off of the Headless Horseman? Probably has all the subtlety of an oncoming train.
And I'm sure we won't regret bad-mouthing him like this.